So here's the question. What is going on inside of the minds of top influencers and business professionals that are causing them to excel in their career and in life? My name's Tim Shurr. You're listening to Psychological Secrets for Skyrocketing Your Business, and the answers you've been seeking are in this podcast. I'm Tim Shurr, your host, and today we're going to be talking with a special guest, Jessey Snyder. He is CEO and president of a fantastic real estate company that is just booming in Indiana and abroad. It's called Snyder Strategy, and they have really taken off in Indiana because of the insights and the lessons that their founder and CEO, Jessey, has brought to the table. And so I've known Jessey for about a year now, and we've had many conversations. And I asked him to be on my show because I know that he has a message that will resonate with you. He will have a message that will inspire you. You know, this program is all about maximizing your influence, your ability to stand out from the crowd, your ability to have incredible confidence so that you can share your value with those around you and have so much conviction and pride in what you do and who you are and what you have to offer others that it causes you to stand out in a world that is so fast-paced and always moving and changing. So, Jessey, thank you for being here and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Tim. I appreciate you inviting me on board. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. All right, so let's jump right into this. With our program, I always like to get to know you as a person and what drives you at an unconscious level, at an emotional level, so that we can understand more and more about the mindset of how to succeed in this world. So we'll start with digging into your mind a little bit deeper and figuring out what makes you tick, and then we'll talk a little bit about business strategy, and you can offer some advice for those who are listening who want to grow their practice or their business or their empire. So question number one that I have for you is why don't you start by giving me a little synopsis of how you started out in life and maybe some of the milestones that you feel brought you to where you are today at this moment in time.
I think some of the milestones that took me to this level and got me to this point was one of them coming from the abject poverty situation where you saw so much of scarcity, and I started to realize at a young age, like I just did not want to replay this out in my life, and that was probably early on, around 8 years old, and then from there, as I grew older, I started to realize a hard work ethic, and really trying to help the other people around you started to make a huge difference in my life because every stepping stone that I did, going to college, paying for it on my own, and then working my way up from an assistant manager to a director vice president, it was about persistence and helping others achieve their goals. And every stepping stone was about this thing called power of giving and helping others reach their goals. And I could see trying to excel every step of the way, improving on everything I did, and it made a difference. And then there was the side note, as always, was the persistence in saying, I've got to be able to do this. It's not a failure. Failure cannot be an option for me to pull away from the average American and to build something. As when I went into building my company, I said, I got to keep doing it and improve until I get it right. And those things along the way and the transformation of my personality along the way improved me quite a bit because I'm still so mindful of knowing that you've got to help others. That's going to be the key ingredient in anything you do. If you help enough others, they're going to help you too. You got to be able to connect those dots, and that's what I've seen throughout this time period of my life that I realize. And you've got to continue to improve yourself and help others improve too.
Well, that's fantastic. You said so many things in there. I just had to write them all down. So where'd you grow up?
Okay. I grew up in East L.A. in Pico Rivera, in a very tough neighborhood, to say the very least. It's still a very tough neighborhood. But, in some ways, I don't know if I'd want to repeat it, but in some ways everything becomes a very valuable resource if you look on the positive side of it and try to pull away the positives to go upward from there.
Well, that's very powerful what you said, because every successful person that I have got to know or that I've listened to, whether it's in business or sports or just as a husband or wife or mother or father, anybody that really seems to be happy and successful in life, they have that idea that you take the pain of your life and you use it to make you stronger. You give a positive spin to it, and you use it as a way of saying, hey, I wouldn't want to have to go back and redo it, but I wouldn't change it either because it helped me to become who I am today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does. It changes you dramatically for the better. If you look at the better points of it and incorporate it and saying, what can I do to ensure that this doesn't replay out, but what can I do to take it to another level? And it does. It makes a big difference. Instead of dwelling on the negative, start to really reinforce that positive and say, what can I do to improve myself from that situation? And everything changes. A paradigm shift starts to change.
Yeah, exactly. So you said when you were a kid, you knew that you didn't want to be poor. I bet there was a lot of kids that felt that way. But what do you think it was that was going on in your mind that allowed you to say, I'm going to do whatever I can not to stay this way, instead of feeling like that's just how it is?
You know, it's such a powerful question, and the answer is so, in some ways, so complex because you see so many children out there who go through those abject poverty of conditions. Unfortunately, sometimes it's even worse than just conditions of poverty. It's the conditions of violence and so forth. I was not an exception to that rule. I saw a tremendous amount of different things. I think some of the key moments was being with my family when we were homeless and knowing that we were starving, and also realizing that I don't know why, looking around and saying, wow, this is a serious situation we're in, and hopefully my mother can get us out of it. But also then there was individuals along the way that were very good mentors that I listened to. One of them was my stepfather, Jessey Snyder, who truly is one of my heroes, who took on a child that and raised him, and he gave me a lot of different things. So there were things there that he had pointed out to me and said, you shouldn't do that anymore. You've got to do it this way. So it's the mentors in your life that try to help you that, if you can listen to, could make a very big difference. Those people who are saying, and you'll know when they're good, it's good advice, it resonates in your heart. If you know that it works for you and you feel good when that advice is given to you, and you know if you do that to somebody else and it's going to be the right thing, then you know it's great advice. You really do in your heart. And that's how I went along throughout my years, hearing some very good people saying, you know, you have the potential, Jessey, but you got to do this or you got to do that and get that education, do that. And I truly, it resonated with me and it made sense. And that's how I came along. And I would encourage all the children to hear not only from podcasts as we're doing, but also from the education. There's so many wonderful things out there. You just have to hear it from your heart, and you'll know if it's good.
Well, that just made it so much more clear why it's so important to you to mentor the people that are in your company. Because that's one of the things that, you know, there's a million people that I could interview out there in the world, but you just grabbed my attention because you were so committed to being a mentor to the people that you are working with. Even though they're kind of your employees, it seems like you always make yourself the servant to them, right? You're always trying to help them, and now it makes sense from having your, that role model in your life at an early age to be able to help you believe in yourself. You know, they say it only takes one person to believe in you for you to believe in yourself. And now you've put yourself in that position to believe in other people until they finally catch up and start believing in themselves.
Wow, I mean, you summarized it extraordinarily well, because I can tell you I saw that in my industry that we needed to train people and really train them. I mean, everybody that comes to the table in our industry is extraordinarily smart. I really believe that. They're very intelligent. They passed a very challenging test to get their license. And there tells me everything, that they just need to be trained and taught the specifics of their expertise and really, really be mentored. And sure enough, we are just exploding. And I do think it is because of our mentor leadership that that I expect from all my brokers that have our offices, that we have to train these individuals. And that just goes not only in brokerage world of real estate, but also goes into just life. to get better and better, you're going to have somebody that's going to help you. And if you help others too, you'll be amazed in what takes place. It's just, the power of this is amazing. And the power of giving of knowledge, the power of giving of mentorship, and overall just the power of giving to people and giving to you, it really has helped tremendously in my business, in my personal, and it's helped a lot of people out there for us.
So let's elaborate on that a little bit more, the power of giving. So I have a phrase that I use all the time: the more value you bring, the more valuable you become, right? You win by helping others win. And and so that's what drives me. If I'm ever feeling down, if I'm ever feeling frustrated, if things aren't going the way that I want them to, one of the fastest ways that I shift out of that is I start asking myself one question. And the question is, how can I bring some value today? What can I do to help somebody else today? And then all of a sudden it starts to lift my spirits because I'm not making it about me anymore. I'm making it about helping others. And through helping others, it comes back, like you said, and you get rewarded immediately because that frustration seems to literally evaporate when you're not having to make it about yourself, and you can just be a service to those around you. A lot of people get confused by that, though. They get afraid. I know I was afraid in the beginning. I came from scarcity as well, and so I was always afraid that if I just gave and gave, people were just going to take and take, and I was just going to get taken advantage of. And so I had to shift some beliefs. So, what did you do to be able to shift some of those beliefs inside of you so that you really could believe in the power of giving?
I think I was in the same boat with you, and originally when I started to do it, I started to think, well, am I giving up my time? And I was, in the beginning, I think I was being very selfish and started trying to figure out this power of giving. And I was like, wow, what's going to happen if I do that? And nothing. And I was going about it all the wrong way in my early years. But as I continue to move upward in the corporate world, and then, of course, created my own company, I started to realize that if you can bring value to that person's life, we call it enhancing lives. Now, in sales, a lot of people say, wow, you got to be a trained expert, you have to have the charisma and passion for your product. But I think it's more than that. I think the power of giving goes under that category of enhancing a person's life when you interact with them. And what I mean by that is, are you remembered that you brought value to them, and they want to share their world with you and to really talk about you and saying, this person did far more than just sharing value of a product with me. They shared a new way of looking at life. They gave me new hope, an ability to see things very differently, and I've been enhanced. So I stress that very much in my company, that we have to enhance people's lives. The power of giving clearly will enhance their lives if we do it in a way that truly will give them an opportunity for what we gave them, whether it's knowledge, whether it's goodwill, whether it's a positive attitude, or whether actually it's a gift that could specifically help them in their life. And we've seen, and I categorize it under enhancing lives, and it really, really is making a difference in all of our people's careers, and it's made a very big difference in my personal life. And like I said, it's just enhancing lives I think is the key ingredient. If you can look at it that way, it makes a difference in your own life. You walk with more of a positive step, a bigger smile, knowing you're trying to help. It's that powerful. And I'm only really, I think, scratching the surface in comparison what really is out there in this concept. It's a bigger concept than me or you, and it's just really, it's what makes the world go round, I think, in a lot of ways.
Oh, that is just, amen, brother. That was fantastic. I got chills. I'm like wanting to bounce up and down. That was so profound. And you're so right. A lot of people have this idea about sales as, manipulating. A lot of people that I meet don't even want to think of themselves as salespeople anymore because of some of the negative connotations that go with that. But you're talking about something which is much more, much deeper and more powerful, enhancing lives. I've just taken lots of notes as I listen to you. I hope everybody else that listening to this is writing it down too. You're sharing a new perspective. You're giving new hope, new enhancements, knowledge, goodwill, gifts. I mean, that's profound, Jessey. That's really, really powerful. And I believe you're right. I think that it is, we're just scratching the surface. And if it feels so good thinking about it in this way now, imagine what happens as you really dive all the way in and just make it all about enhancing lives everywhere you go.
The more you do it, the more it comes back to you eventually, and so many people have asked me that, said, what has separated you from other companies in Indiana? And it goes right to that. The heart of the matter is that we have to look to see what people need, provide them a great product that they can be very proud of. They don't have to, as you said, a lot of people in sales today are very shy of calling themselves salespeople, but if they are proud of their product, proud of how it's going to benefit the other individual, because in my company, I truly believe we not only have to benefit the people that work for me, but benefit the people that they have as their clients. Everybody can win. There doesn't have to ever be a situation, win or lose, and say, aha, you bought something and therefore you didn't get everything you were expecting. No, I think the other way it should be is we're very, very clear, transparent in a way where, hey, look, everybody's going to win on this. We want everyone to, and it helps the community. It helps our company. It helps the realtors, helps our clients, and truly it will enhance then everywhere across the board in Indiana, and that's what we're aiming for. Is it's making a bigger difference than just the company in itself. It's making a difference in people's lives. That's how we have to look at it, I think.
Well, I love it. I think the best leaders that I've ever met, and I include you in that group, Jessey, is they have this. Well, you're welcome. But they have this idea that they're going to use their company to do good in the world. Right? They're not just using their company to make money. They're not just trying to make a dollar. They're really trying to make a difference. And so they use the company that they've built to grow people. And as a result, you become wealthier, but you also become so much happier because of the value that you have. And every day you get to show up knowing that you're going to make a bigger difference.
Absolutely. That is it. To quote one of my people I've studied very much so, is Steve Jobs. He wanted to make a difference in the world, and he knew he could make a difference and make it a better life for people. And I still believe that too, and I believe that if we could make it better for people in what we're doing, the reward's immensely for everybody. It's just immense, and we're watching it happen now, and anybody can do that. But I just think it's got to be a cornerstone of any business you're going to grow. It has to be. It has to be a main foundation.
Well, that's a powerful principle. So our listeners, if you take one thing away, and we're just getting into this, but if you take one thing away, it's exactly what Jessey said. You got to have that idea of how can I enhance the lives of my customers, my employees, my teammates, my vendors. How can I make a bigger difference through my product, through my service, through my knowledge? Or even, I loved how you said, it just makes you smile broader, and you have a pep to your step, and it just makes you feel more confident. And that creates natural charisma and natural energy that just exudes from you, so that it's literally like you've got this aura of light around you. When you walk into a room, people turn their heads, and they don't even know why. They just know that you've got something that is attractive, and that's what real charisma is. So let me ask you this. If you could travel back through time, and you're going to head back to East LA, okay, and you're going to talk to that little boy that was you at that time, what advice would you give them based on what you know now? A few decades later, what advice would you give that kid now to maybe help them get through some of those tough times a little easier?
If I could go back in time, and I think I'd say it to everybody, and that is, especially to myself back then, is that it can work out, but you've got to start to look at those positive moments in time, and you can expand on those positive moments. If nothing is everlasting unless you decide it is, so why not decide to make those positive moments bigger and bigger and bigger, because it is about your mind and the way you look at life in itself in that given moment, and it can work out better. There are great people who are doing things that are greater. So as you grow older, you'll see bigger and bigger in the world. There are great people doing things, and it's based on the way they conduct themselves mentally and how they pursue life and saying, I'm going to pursue a greater life. It's going to work out because that's what I'm going to choose to do. And although it's very intellectualized, but if I were to go back, I would say it can all work out for you. You can cherish the moments when you are smiling and happy and start to cherish them more and more as you grow older and start to realize I can expand on that and start to turn down those negatives more and more and really open up to the positive parts of life to make it eventually become more and more towards that 100% where you carry yourself as you're strolling through the park and you feel that you have the world. And so it's those bigger moments that you have to expand on when they're positive and not dwell on the negatives, and it can work out. It really can.
That's a great message for everybody to have. So do you ever get scared these days? You ever get stressed out or find yourself worrying about something in the middle of the night?
Yeah. I could tell you, I don't know if stress ever leaves anybody because it's especially in entrepreneurship, it is survival out there, and you have to be a business person, and you have to be very realistic about numbers and all that. So there is a certain amount of stress to it all, but it's a healthy stress to be mindful of what's happening and that you got a lot of responsibility, especially in a position when running a company or a position of managing individuals. They're looking towards you to take them to another level. That's why they're there for you. They're not. They're not there to just to make you money. They're there to really, like I said, to enhance their lives, to give them a better opportunity to look at things differently. Because one idea could change a person's life dramatically. One paradigm shift can truly change everything for anybody. So the stress is there, but it's a healthy stress, I call it. It's a way of me being able to realize and say, okay, I got to make sure we take us to the next level. But at nighttime, I really am so excited. It's very difficult for me to sleep because I want to get up so early, as if it's every day now Christmas time for me. Literally every day I'm up so early because it's so exciting to go out and do what I do and have the freedom to do it and affect so many people. It's very challenging for me to even go to sleep because there's so much I want to do the next day. So it's a very exciting time.
Wow, that's fabulous. I love asking that question because, business people, when you're out there driving away, especially when you're more successful, you don't like to think of it as being scared. So we always talk about being stressed, or if you're on the East Coast, I find people are angst, right? So they don't even have time for stress. And
yes.
And so you're going to have that pressure. And you're also right. I don't think it ever quite leaves. I think what happens is you learn to manage it more effectively. And you've completely reframed it. So instead of being stressed out and using stress to drive you forward, you have shifted that to enhancing lives, and you lose sleep because you're excited to get out there and play some more. And that's a whole different kind of, perspective. I always use the acronym for FEAR, F-E-A-R. Once you learn to shift it, it starts to stand for feeling excited and ready. And that's exactly what you've done.
That is great. That is great. I haven't heard that one before. I think that's a great way of looking at it. It really is.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. So, this has been really very insightful. So let me ask you, if we start to switch gears just a little bit and move into more of some business success strategies. So now I know you've accomplished a lot right now. But if you had to start all over from scratch for some reason, and you're on a tight budget, right? Maybe some of our listeners out there, you and I have both been on the other end of one of these calls where we're listening to people and saying, well, it's easy for you to say that. You got all this money. I don't have anything. I don't know how I'm going to pay my, gas bill coming up. But if we had that knowledge that you have now, and you had to go back and you had to start all over with a shoestring budget, what are a couple of things that you would do to start building your business right away?
One of the main things you have to look at, and to go into entrepreneurship, you have to decide what your real options are and say to yourself, why am I in it, And it can't be about the money. You got to let go of the fact that you're going to make immediate money, and it cannot be the focal point of it, because that's the first part of failure. You're looking for instant reward on a materialistic level. So that has to be eliminated from the mindset. The money will come if you're in the arena to make it, but the only way it's going to come is that you look at literally the first step you must take in looking at your business and saying to yourself, okay, what is it that I can do on a shoestring budget but still provide great quality and great value? And you've got to look at your business that you're in and say, what can we do? Are we spending money in a manner that really isn't a return on investment? What can we do in selling our product and still be effective without having to make sure that you don't have to break the bank? And that's how I looked at it in the brokerage world. I said there was a major shift happening. We went from big buildings holding 200, 300 realtors in a building to home-based business. And I saw that, and I said, I didn't need to spend money on a big building. We went into a home-based business, and it worked. It worked tremendously well, and now everyone is doing it. So I went on a shoestring operation when I started, but you have to look at every aspect of your business and saying, what can I do but don't jeopardize the quality of the product, and what can I do not to break the bank and still provide such great service for that product? You got to look at the gaps in what's happening in your industry and then say, how can I still provide great quality? There's a lot of people that started out of their garages, their living room. I started out of my living room in the beginning, but I never jeopardized the quality of my performance. I gave everything, and I think it's important to be a trained expert inside and out, and that made all the difference in the world. So people have to really analyze, what is it about the product, what are you trying to do, and what can I do to make it more efficient and faster and not break the bank in doing it. It's a very complex. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can, but it's something you got to look at very closely and see. There is always room to improve in every business, including mine. There's constant improvement every day that we're doing, and it's made a tremendous difference. And the one who can improve and stay improving all the time is the one that really will break out from the molds.
Wow. So interviewing you is really challenging because you say so many profound things that I can't remember all of them. There's so many nuggets in what you say every time you talk. I'm like, oh my God, I have to start writing on my arm. I ran out of paper. So I love that. Thank you. Well, yeah, so let me just kind of summarize some of these things that you said just to reinforce them, because they're so powerful and profound that they're worth repeating over and over so that it sinks in your head. One of them that I really loved is you said, failure is looking for instant rewards and coming from being materialistic. And I think in the beginning, that's where we all start from. We're all trying to figure out how to feel good about ourselves or how to survive, and how, we're not focused as much on serving others because we're just trying to take care of ourselves. And it's not a selfish thing, it's a survival thing. And but if you can learn as early on as possible to make win-win situations happen, and the best way to take care of yourself and to survive is to help other people thrive. And that is something that most people, especially the younger entrepreneurs, which you and I were both that at one time, I don't think we have that in the beginning. It's something that you have to learn. So for any entrepreneurs or Generation X, Y, or Z, that might be listening to this podcast, really focus on serving and looking for a need. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Figure out what is already working and then what's missing from that. What can be better than what you have already, than what's already out there. So Jessey, you definitely were someone who was leading the way at focusing on cutting huge amounts off your overhead by going and doing the home-based business and home-based brokerages. And now a lot of the giant corporations in real estate are starting to do the very same thing. And
yes.
But when you're a leader and you show up first, then there's glory that goes with that, and that's probably one of the reasons of many why your company is just skyrocketing. So
if I can say one other thing, and I really believe this very strongly, the biggest challenge I've heard from everybody in the United States, I get calls throughout the United States, people have asked me questions on this, and that is, where do you begin? Well, you just have to take the first step. You got whatever that first step is, even if it takes you 9 days to do it, and maybe it would have taken only somebody else 1 hour to do it. That's where you're at in life. That's so be it. But then take that step. I did things that took me 2 weeks, which if I would have known better, could have only taken me less than 4 hours. But I took the step and I said, I'm going to learn it and get it faster and faster. And then when I opened up more offices, I realized I didn't have to go downtown. We could do it electronically. We could do it differently. But I took the step, and I was willing to wade through that water and said, I got to take the step. Because what's going to happen if you don't take the step 2 weeks from now, nothing happened. You have to take the first step and realize this could be a challenge. This could take me days. It could take me weeks. But I'm going to do it till I get it right and persist till I achieve my goal. And that's always been my mindset. And it's got to be bigger than money. It's got to be bigger than you. The vision has got to be, this is going to make an impact for people around me, and it's going to help tremendously enhancing people's lives. That's what's going to carry you through the lean times.
Yeah.
And when it becomes profitable, then you'll know you're on the right track, because you got to know that the freedom to do what you want in entrepreneurship, or the freedom to be with your family, it's got to be bigger than you and money. It's got to be a vision on your mind and how it's going to improve your lives and others. It's got to be there from the very beginning.
Profound again. Yeah, I found in my life doing this, and I've been in private practice for 22 years before I started doing all the seminars and keynotes and everything, and I found that the more I focused on the money, the more stressed out I was. If I was focused, and even when I had, even having a bunch of money, right? It's still, in the beginning, it's, am I ever going to accumulate enough wealth so I can have the bills covered and not think about it, right? And then once you get there, then it's like, am I going to be able to keep it? Because when you make more money, you spend more money too, right? And a lot of times I felt like I was just broke at a higher level.
Yes, and everyone seems to go through that. I believe that.
Yeah, so that again is a learning curve. So what you're talking about is using your entrepreneurship as a way to grow as a human being and develop mastery. And, that's just a fantastic message. So, all right, well, let me go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. No, I was just saying that your message of maximizing your influence, is that what you said in the beginning? And it's just a powerful message, because to influence people in the right way, in the positive way, that they're going to realize, wow, you help me. And by using the tools and strategies that are given to you throughout all these books, podcasts, seminars, and so forth, and if you do it with a sincere heart, be amazed how people will quickly try to help you. And once this starts to grow, your business, people are then talking about you, testimonials to you, and they truly want to help you because they want to help others the way you help them. It's an automatic domino effect, and I just love that title, Maximizing Your Influence, because if you can learn how to about human behavior and about how to really influence people in the right way, you'll be amazed what will happen in your business. You'll be truly amazed.
Yes, absolutely. Influence isn't just about how fancy you dress or what you drive or, how slick your people skills are. It's really about personal development and your ability to feel so good inside that you don't have to make it so much about you anymore. You can just be of service to others, and then that really helps you stand out, especially in the world we live in these days, where everybody's so focused on themselves. And it really becomes the competitive advantage. And then you just get better and better at understanding others, noticing things that other people aren't noticing, hearing things that come from people that others won't hear because they never took the time to even ask the question. And so, really, really good. All right, so let me ask you this then. So is there any advice that you would give to people based on the mistakes that you've made? Like advice on what not to do based on some of the things that you've been through in your life, because we've all done some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people say that's that you learn more from the pain than you do the pleasure. So anything come to mind?
Oh, absolutely. There's so many mistakes that have been made. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was, and you're kidding yourself if you ever think you're self-made. People use now. I know that people say they're self-made and so forth. That's a very cautionary word to use because no one's really self-made. If you're really going to make it in business and grow a business, you're going to have to be determined to help others get what they want also. And they're going to then help you. And in the very beginning, I was very determined on my own. When I went to college to pay for it on my own, I said, I'm not going to take help from anybody. I'm not going to do this or this. And it was just a mistake because that's it's too self-interest on your own to try and do it on your own when people are wanting to help you. They'll want to help you when they see you're in the right direction. So the first step is welcome the advice, welcome the knowledge. Go out and look for things, and people will start to appear in your life to help you and welcome people, good people in your life. Welcome them. Do not put yourself in a bubble where nobody can help you, and that was a mistake I made in the very beginning when I started out. And then as I grew through the corporate world, and then I built my own business. One of the biggest things again was, don't ever, ever stop learning. Every day, every minute, every second, every person, when you listen to them, they have a story to tell. Now, that may not be the best stories. It may not even help you that day, but there's always something somewhere along the line throughout the day that can help improve you. The Internet, if used in the right way, can help improve your knowledge. So another mistake I made was, I was like, wow, I started to stagnate on improving my education as I was in business. I said, well, what am I doing? I got to get back on track and really learn more and learn more. So, the give and take conversations I have with people are so powerful because I'm really hearing what their advice is. I welcome it today. So that's important. And the other thing is, again, I can't say it enough, is you have to make up your mind what it is that you really want to do, that you love to do, enjoy, and knowing that, the byproduct can be money without exception. There's no doubt in business, but you've got to decide, is this what I can wake up and get paid and not be paid for it in the beginning, and it will carry me through till that sometime in the future it will be. And I think we all are scared. We're all scared in the beginning, like, wow, I'm going to grow a business, and there's not a lot of money coming in, and it gets very scary. And that's where that vision has to carry you, because there's long hours through the night, working on 24 or 20, 30 hours, and being scared should not drive the business, but it should be a healthy way of looking at it and saying, I can get through this. I just got to keep going forward. So there was a lot of mistakes I did make with not pursuing more and more education of entrepreneurship in the beginning. I should have been really reading, and maybe I could have avoided some of those long-term mistakes. And but always improving, and that was the one thing I did understand, was to improve dramatically on every aspect of the business. How can I do this faster without jeopardizing quality? That was always been on my mind, so I've never jeopardized the quality, and that put us on the map. So like I'd say again and again to everyone that, don't think you're in it alone. You're not. There's a lot of people out there wanting to help you, wanting to step up to help you, but you've got to be able to transform yourself. In the beginning, I was a typical 21-year-old. I made mistakes. I was doing things that, I was drinking a little bit too much in college. I think they teach you how to drink. That's part of the program sometimes. If I were to go back and talk to myself back in college, I would not be doing that. I would not be being excessive in that manner. Why? Because it's so important to have your mind crystal clear at all times, because you don't know when that opportunity is going to pop into your mind. And when it does, it could change you dramatically in your life, in business, and everything you do. It really can. So that's one of the things I would say, avoid the excesses, and also really keep your mind open and educate. And, don't think that if you think you've arrived, that could be the beginning of the end. I don't think we ever arrive. We're just going on a journey. And we got to continue on that journey day in and day out and enjoy all the moments that we have. Persist and persist and persist. And failure is such a sad word, I think. I said this in a meeting yesterday, that I just think it's a very sad, horrible word to use, because failure is not really failure. It's just a stepping stone to success. That's all it is. It's a process that you learn that did not work, but now you know not to do that again, and now learn a new process. And that's what I look at it. I'm like, okay, it didn't work. I've had many failures, and I think I can do it quicker now, but I still have failures along the way. But I realize, okay, I can overcome them. It was just a process, and I never looked at it as it's a termination of my goals. No, it's just a stepping stone. And I have that mindset today, and I don't think I had it in the very beginning. I looked at it, and I took it too personal when something went wrong. I was like, wow. And then I would delay 5-6 days. I would go and pout about it and say, geez, I guess I'm just not going to make it. No, today I would say, no, that's just one avenue. Let me try again and try again. And the doors will open. They do open. And they'll continue to open as long as you pursue it and saying, I can help others enhance their lives and truly, truly educate myself and do better and better. Failure is really not part of our lives. It's just the events that take place that help us learn.
Well said. I have a phrase that I heard a long time ago. There is no failure, only feedback. There's only feedback. All you can do is get feedback. So imagine, what if you couldn't ever fail? You could just get feedback, correct on the fly, and keep charging forward.
Wow, that's very profound, because I would say this too, and that is when it's all over and done with, as we get to our later life and the ending and those later years, we all look back and say, what could I have done differently? And I think the key word is freedom. Freedom to do what you want to do, freedom to live more with your family and everything, and that resonates in my mind at all times. What can I do to appreciate more moments with my family and my friends and the great things in life that we were meant to enjoy? What can I do to achieve those things? And the business is part of helping me achieve these things and helping others achieve those things. And it's made such a, I even get myself, but a little shook up emotionally thinking about it, because I know I'm a very lucky and privileged person, but I've also worked extraordinarily hard to try and get there. And I'm not going to just say I've arrived. I think that's a poor choice of words. It's more of I'm working on things still a work in progress, always going to be a work in progress. But it's an enjoyable journey. I'm enjoying the journey day in and day out.
Well, I think that's what keeps us humble, right? It's certainly what keeps you humble. Right? Because as soon as you start to get a little cocky, life can kind of level you a little bit, remind you that, we're not always so perfect. And so the idea of being humble, always looking at that constant and never-ending improvement, looking at where we can always be improving. And I like what you said about reading and always growing yourself. As they say, leaders are readers. Or for me, I have a hard time at the end of the day reading books because I don't have enough bandwidth left. But I listen to audio programs and podcasts.
Yes.
I've been going to the library for 20 years and listening to programs while I drive around. And I always think that I've got a better education from the library than I did all those years in school. And so it just puts you in a positive environment. It's not just about the information. It's like you're hanging around with other successful people, and then you are who you hang with. And so in the beginning, if you don't know any other successful people, you find them through the library, you find them through programs like this, and you imagine that they're your friends. And you hang out with them when you're driving around. Or I used to have a Walkman, and I'd put my cassette tapes from the library in my Walkman, and I would walk around the block, for hours sometimes, hanging out with my friend, whoever it might have been, Wayne Dyer or Zig Ziglar, some of the greats.
Yes.
And it really made a big difference for me. So, as I'm listening to you, it's really all about attitude more than anything else. Are you working more on yourself than your business? A lot of times, and I'm sure you've had this experience where things start going so fast that you've hardly had any time to stop and just kind of look at things. It's like you're so fast running that you don't have any time to aim at where you're actually going to end up.
Yes.
So
and sometimes you have to stop the brakes a little bit, pump the brakes a little bit to assess where you're at before you go forward. And people are always shocked by that, as even right now we're assessing where we're at before we expand on another opening of another 20 offices. And we're saying before we get to the next level, let's assess where we're at, and are we doing everything that we can possibly be doing right, fast, quick, and making sure that everybody wins on these things, then let's move it forward, because I think that's critical, very critical.
How do you get yourself to do it? Yeah, how do you get yourself to do that? Because, you've got so much going on and so many people, vying for your attention. How do you make time to stop?
It's one of them is that you've got to be organized and seeing every aspect of your business. I have a saying that you got to know your business A to Z, Z to A. You just have to. You have to know what your limitations and what you can do and what resources you have, and you got to have them in front of you to really look at your business day in and day out and realize the more you're organized, the more you have feedback given back to you from your business and from your people, the more you're apt to see where the great things are happening and the things that need to be improved on dramatically. And I feel at this point we're getting ready to launch more, but we were very careful to step back and analyze after we opened up so many offices, saying, is this working correctly? Even the minor details we looked at very closely logistically from A to Z, and it was so important so that it would be very fluid and smooth, and that's where we're at now, ready to launch even more. But it takes a lot, but I can tell you what you had said, Tim, that you learned so much more from the books. It's funny you say that. I probably purchased over $2,000 worth of books outside of college, and I've always said that $2,000 worth of books really launched my career, from businesses, motivational speaking. We're talking from Zig Ziglar. I mean, he was just one of the all greats motivational speakers, and Tony Robbins and so forth out there. And it was just amazing what I've learned, and not only from you, Tim, too, in conversations. It's just amazing what you can learn. So it really is. It's just so important to review everything and continue moving forward like that. Sometimes you got to pump the brakes a little bit, just pause and say, am I doing everything I can to get this right, or is there something popping up that is not as fast as it could be? Let me re-examine it. Sometimes it is a good thing to pause, to regroup and recalibrate, and then expand forward. Too many people try to expand and go big before their time, and then that jeopardizes the quality of your performance and the quality of your product. And that's important to be mindful of that. Very important.
Very good. So the motto is we always have to protect the brand, right? We always got to make sure that what you're doing is in alignment with the values of your company. And, in a numbers-driven world, it can feel very easy to get away from our values because we're trying to hit those numbers. And
yes.
So that's a common thing that I see, when I go into, it doesn't matter what company it is, it doesn't matter, what business they're in, there's always that pressure of balancing your performance and hitting your numbers with living your values and, being congruent with what your brand message is. And to have that balance is vitally important, and you can only do it by, as you say, tapping the brakes, which I like. You sound like a true leader. We're not going to stop, Tim, but we'll tap the brakes.
Yes, that's right.
I like that.
We'll recalibrate if we have to.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right. So let's end with this last question. I like this question a lot, and you've already answered it time and time and again, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So, what's the best advice you were ever given?
I would have to say one of the biggest advice I was ever given, and it was really amazing. It was a mentor at a corporate world, and he said to me, he goes, Jessey, he goes, it's a big world out there, and you're going to have to learn what people are about to influence them and get them on your side so that they can help you achieve your goals. It's a bigger world than just you and your bubble that you're in. You've got to, and this was as they were promoting me, and they said, you've got to look on a bigger level across the United States and in the world. People are all from different facets, but if you can get to the common ingredient of that person, and everybody is wanting to improve their lives, wanting to do better, wanting better for their children, and if you can start to see that, then you see what your goals how your goals can be achieved, because now you're looking at an overall picture outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said that, and they were promoting me to a higher executive level, and I said to myself, wow. And he says, if you keep that in mind, you'll be amazed how many more people will be there to help you because they sense you're the one that's trying to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to keep that in mind. And I guess it goes back to that power of giving, and he was saying it in a different way, but you got to know there's a bigger world out there than just you. A lot of people have the same commonalities as you, and if you can tap into that, watch how they'll start to have a common vision with you because they know that you're sharing, hey, you're trying to help improve my life through this avenue called real estate. You're trying to help improve my lives of my children by giving them a better opportunity by helping improve my financial life. There's a commonality there, and if you can understand the overall picture of that, be amazed how quickly your business can really grow. And that's probably one of the things that I've kept in mind quite a bit. Have I done it all the time? Sometimes you get a little selfish and stay in your bubble, and you got to get out of that bubble very quickly because it's a bigger picture out there, and people are waiting to help you if you can help them and enhance their lives. And they're truly ready to line up. And it did start to happen in my business in the beginning where it was all of a sudden I started thinking on a bigger level, giving better quality, giving everything, and people would, person stopped by and said, I'm a publisher, and we'd like to publish all your products for you and make it easier for you. Till this day, he's still my printing company, and that was approximately 9 years ago, and this guy has done just a fabulous job. And it's like, wow, how did he pop up out of nowhere? And yet throughout the company with Snyder Strategy, people have appeared to say, let me help you. We see you got something great here. Let me help you, and you can help us too. And it's an exchange of business, and it works. So that's what I would say. It's ongoing, that overall picture. There's a commonality that threads through everybody in the entire world, everybody in the United States. And if you can tap into that, it's be amazed at what can happen. People do, and I know it sounds magical in some ways, but it really is true. People do appear out of nowhere all of a sudden wanting to help you, and they're great people. They want to help you too.
Yeah. And
it's happened to me, and I'm very, very honored and privileged, including knowing you, Tim, and everyone that I've met along the way. It's like, wow, this is just, it's an amazing thing. I'm just I think I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm just so in awe of it, so very much in awe every day. And it just carries me through the day as if I'm floating through everywhere I go. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And so that's how I would look at it with that question. That it's that commonality, the overall picture. Get outside of your bubble. What is it that everybody is wanting? What can I do to help them? And what can I do to enhance their life? And what can I do to truly they can be proud of working with me? And then things take off. Things dramatically start to change. And watch how it enhances your life when you do it for others. Watch. It'll push you along the way to become better. It really will.
Mm-hmm. That was excellent. Excellent. Yeah, Tony Robbins says success attracts its own level, right? So what you described is,
yes.
Yeah. So you just, exude that care and that confidence and that success, and it's attractive, and other people want to be a part of that, and so they want to help you. And then when they meet you and you end up looking at how you can help them, and they fall in love with you, because it's so, in a world where everybody's so focused on themselves, when you turn around and you're so others focused, it's like a shining bright light in a dark room, and that is magnetic.
Yes.
And so people will come to you. Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, because I've always said this to everybody. We're in the business of the direct business as we're known in real estate, right? However, if when you're done, if you do everything the right way, those individuals will brag about you, not just about what you did for them in business, but about who you were in the business, saying, wow, that's a role model for my son and daughter to look up to. Wow, that's the type of friend I want in my life. Wow, that's the type of person we should have more of in our lives. This type of person that should be in our communities in our lives. When that starts to happen, then you realize your business is going to grow, because they want to brag about you and how you enhance their lives, and how, look who is in my life. Look who is with me, who's helped me. Look at this individual. That's part of my life. And they want to showcase you because they realize you have something very special to offer, far more than just business. I really believe that. It's got to be more than just business out there. You got to let go of just being business. It's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be bigger, wrapped around a great product, but then it's got to be bigger than the product itself. It's got to be a vision of who you are, transforming yourself to a bigger level. And I say this all the time in our company, on company meetings and our conference calls and so forth. It's got to be bigger than you. But watch what happens when people reflect on you and they say, "That's who I want in my life. That's who I want to be more and more like. They've got that charisma that I'm looking for too." And it has made a very big difference in our company. And a lot of our realtors have been extraordinarily successful because it's bigger than just the business.
Jessey Snyder, everybody, CEO and founder of Snyder Strategy Realty, Inc. Jessey, this has been just fantastic. As I'm listening to you, someone challenged me about a month ago. He said, if you really want to know how others feel about you, go to Facebook and just type in, what words come to mind when you think of, and then you put your name in. Right? Wow. So what words come to mind when you think of Jessey Snyder? And so I put Tim Shurr, and I did it just as asking the question for an idea to give to other people. And I got like 50 responses back. It was one of my best, engagements. And it was by accident. I wasn't even really asking the question. I just posed it out there. And the comments were so kind, I was like blushing. It was like a self-esteem bath. I was really, and so then of course that made me want to compliment every single person that says something nice. And then you get into this competition where you're trying to make each other feel good instead of bad. And I think that's, instead of competition, we go into collaboration, and everybody wins. So this has just been fantastic. So if you are out there listening and you're in the real estate game and you are looking to be a part of a fantastic company that's growing leaps and bounds with an incredible leader at the forefront, then I definitely recommend you reach out to Jessey and his company, Snyder Strategy. In fact, I am looking. Your website is snyderstrategy.net. Snyderstrategy.net. Now, as soon as you hear that and you stop listening to this podcast, you need to go to your website, and you need to get up, open up your computer, and type in Snyder, SNYDER, strategy, all one word, .net, because Jessey's website has one of the most creative landing pages, home pages I have ever seen on the entire internet. Yeah. I keep going to it over and over and showing my friends. I'm like, check this out. It is so interactive and animated. I think it's genius, and I've never seen one like it before. So, so go check it out, snyderstrategy.net, and reach out to Jessey. And Jessey, thank you so much for spending this time. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing so much in this podcast with me today.
Thank you, and I appreciate it very much, Tim, and I appreciate it. And I just tell everyone again, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you really enjoyed it, please subscribe and share it with your friends. And if you want more psychological secrets for making your business and your life a sure success, go to timshurr.com/newsletter and join our family of achievers who are living their dreams and making the world a better place. Check it out now and make your life a sure success.